Websites are kind of a taboo subject for podcasters, but they don't have to be. I'm breaking down all of the pros and cons of websites in today's episode. Hi, I'm Andi Smiley, your friendly podcast guide, and the podcast coach for women who want to grow their podcast without burning out. I share practical podcast tips, stories from my own journey, and wisdom from some of the smartest podcasters out there. When I first started my podcast, it felt like everyone was telling me that I needed a website immediately. So I created a website before I even released my first episode, and that was not the way to go. Today, I'm going to break down if your show should have a website or not, and the why behind it. But don't worry, if you're feeling overwhelmed, at the end of the episode, I'll give you one simple step that you can take to keep your momentum going in the right direction. Before I wade into the taboo subject of websites, let's talk about why I love Pinterest so much for my podcast. I don't have time to chase algorithms. Between driving kids everywhere, running my business, and reading fantasy books way past my bedtime, I needed a marketing strategy that didn't depend on posting every day. So I went Instagram optional and put my energy into Pinterest. Now my pins keep working for me for months. One has more than 7,000 views and is still bringing me new listeners every week. If you want to see if Pinterest could do the same for your show, grab my free 2-minute Is Pinterest Right For Me checklist. You'll know in just a couple of minutes if Pinterest is worth your time. The link is in the show notes. Now, here are all of my hot takes about websites for podcasters. Some people say that you need a website for your podcast as soon as you start. And I completely disagree because, to be honest, podcasting isn't for everyone. And you don't want to put a bunch of time and energy into a website for a podcast that you might not even enjoy. So if you've just recently started your podcast and you're still trying to figure out your podcasting rhythm, you can put a website on the back burner for now and focus all of your attention on your podcast itself. But I will say, if you've been podcasting for a while, like a year or more, and you still don't have a website, then I think it's time to invest in one. And if you have a business with a website already, there's a really easy way for you to add your podcast to your current website, which will give your business even more visibility. Here's an example. If you're a life coach, you could add a simple podcast tab to your current website with embedded players and blog style show notes. That way, your episodes work double time for your business by giving your website more content, which means more ways for people to find your business. So quick recap, if you're new, skip the website for now. If you're an established podcaster, it's time to make that website happen. And if you're somewhere in between, I would recommend starting small and building from there. Now that you know when it's a good time to add a website to the mix, here's why it's a good idea for you to have a website or a podcast section on your current website. First, you own it. Similarly to an email list, you have complete control of your website, which sounds simultaneously really great and terrifying at the same time. I know, I still kind of deal with this today. With a website, you get to control exactly what is on it, and it's not going anywhere, which honestly feels really nice when I think about how there are so many other ways that I market my podcast that could disappear tomorrow. It's really nice to have my website there and ready for people to learn about me and my episodes. Next is having a website will help you take yourself and your podcast more seriously. If you don't have a website yet, but you're ready to take your podcast to the next level, a website is more of a need than a want at that point. And honestly, I have found that when you have a website, not only do you take yourself more seriously, but other people take you more seriously too. The third thing is SEO, search engine optimization. I have been talking about this so much this season, but truly I know that SEO is the future. It is the easiest way for you to get found, and having a website gives your ideal listener another really great way to find your show and fall in love with it. And when you have a website, you get to harness the power of Google to help people find you as well, which feels pretty great. And the last thing, I had to talk about Pinterest because you know I love Pinterest. Websites actually can really help you grow on Pinterest as well. So Pinterest is much more likely to circulate your pins if they are connected to a verified website that you own. In other words, your pins will be found by more people easier if they are linked to a website that you own. So instead of just linking your pins to an online podcast player like Pocket Casts or Spotify, when you have your own website that you're linking to, then Pinterest is much more likely to push those pins out to more people and help more people find you faster. Okay, if this all feels a bit overwhelming, this is your next step. Set a timer for 5 minutes and do a self-evaluation to see where you are in your podcasting journey. Do you feel like you're still overwhelmed by creating episodes and getting them out on time? Or do you feel like you're in a place where you can add a website and creating blog posts for each episode to your podcasting mix? Just taking some time to figure that out will help you make the best decision for yourself and for your podcast. If your podcasting bestie keeps saying she wants to take her show to the next level, but she doesn't have a website yet, please send her this episode. I know she'll thank you later. Next week, I'm sharing an interview I did with the producer of one of my favorite book podcasts. I am still flabbergasted that I got to interview him. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you next week.